A very refreshing afternoon to one and all. Teachers need to integrate technology seamlessly into the curriculum instead of viewing it as an add-on, an afterthought, or an event. This was once said by Hayes Jacobs, but has now become the order of the day. With this note, I, Immaculate Shaila, on behalf of Takkalai Diocesan Education Commission, Teachers Development Program on Educational Foundation and Trends. Today, our focus is on evolving educational trends, a way forward. To begin with, I humbly request Reverend Father Densi Verghese, correspondent of Sacred Heart Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Padandalamudu, to invoke the divine blessings for the successful organization and presentation of Teachers Development Program. Father, please.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving Lord, source of every wisdom, we thank you, we adore you, we bless you. We thank you for the blessings you have showered upon us all throughout these days, and especially through the past 3 weeks in which we studied, we learned about teaching in this pandemic period. Lord, you are the source of wisdom. You have showered all blessings upon us, the teachers, who are imparting knowledge and wisdom to our youngsters. Dear Lord, we surrender ourselves, especially each one of us, all the teachers of the Diocese of Takalai, into thy hands. When we are coming together to organize and to develop ourselves for the growth and the betterment of the youngsters, God, please bless each one of us. Today, as we gather together, we place before you Reverend Father Maria Charles. Bless him with good thoughts and the blessings of the Holy Spirit, that we all may benefit out of him. We place each one of us, all the teachers of the diocese, and all the organizers of this program into thy hands. We place before you all the technical supporters who are helping us to receive the knowledge without any hassle. Lord, give us the wisdom so that we may be enlightened by your power. It is you who gives the wisdom, and it is from your mouth comes the wisdom. Lord, we are surrender ourselves before you and ask for your grace. We make this prayer through the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father. Let me now invite Mrs. Jermin Jasha, teacher, APJ Matriculation High Secondary School, Susaibram, to deliver the welcome address.
Honorable His Excellency, respected resource person of the day, Reverend Fathers and Sisters, and all the other participants. I am indeed honored to wish a warm and a pleasant welcome to all. Teachers working in the Diocese of Thakkali eagerly wait for 3 p.m. on Fridays. It is on this day that teachers are nourished to continue with their selfless mission by the energetic, vibrant, and inspirational sessions given by the esteemed resource person from across the country. This fourth virtual forum for the Teachers Development Program on Educational Foundations and Trends, organized by Thakkali Diocesan Education Commission, Kanyakumari, focuses on evolving educational trends, a way forward. To build a successful story, knowledge is very important, and continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. His Excellency Judge Rajendran, SDP, Bishop of Thakkali Diocese, is ever diligent to see that continuous learning takes place in the teachers working in the diocese. He has paved the way for teachers to learn ardently and then assimilate and integrate the knowledge gathered in real life situations. Our patron is a true motivator and a leader who opens the tunnel of knowledge for the teachers. I take utmost pleasure in welcoming you, Bishop. A wholehearted welcome, Your Excellency. As Ian Valluva says, கலங்காது கண்ட வினைக்கண் துலங்காது தூக்கங் கடிந்து செயல். An act that has been firmly resolved on must be as firmly carried out without delay. The chief organizer of this event brilliantly takes the lead to ensure that his actions create a tremendous impact on the effective service of the teachers. Very Reverend Father Thomas Pauthu Parambal, Vicar General of Thakkali Taklai Diocese and Secretary of Education Commission, is a man of upright principles with a perfect blend of magnanimity. It is a great honor for me to welcome you on this day for yet another motivational session. A gracious welcome to you, beloved Father. William Mother says, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. It is undoubtedly true that great teachers inspire. And I strongly believe that our today's resource person will inspire us and help our minds to soar the heights by his incredible presentation. I'm delighted to extend a cordial welcome to you, Reverend Father Maria Charles, SDB, National Secretary, CBCI Office for Education and Culture, New Delhi. An amiable welcome to you, respected Father, the provincials, correspondents, and the principals of various educational institutions in and of Takalai Diocese are people who walk beside us to strengthen and enrich our talents. I am ecstatic to welcome you all, respected fathers and sisters. I accord an ebullient welcome to the fantabulous educators of the college and various schools to this fourth session of Teachers Development Program on Educational Foundation and Trends. Learning within the comfort of one's home and during such pandemic is made a reality through this virtual platform by the meticulous support of our technical partners. I take great pride in extending a hearty welcome to all at St. Anthony's College, Shillong. A very cordial welcome to all in St. Alfonso College of Arts and Science, our program partner. Once again, a hearty welcome to one and all, and I wish all of you have a great learning through this online medium. With this, I, Jersha, take leave of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. On this fourth week of our Teachers Development Program, we are fortunate to have a very renowned resource person, Reverend Father Maria Charles, SDB, National Secretary, CBCI Office for Education and Culture, New Delhi, with us to equip and enhance our skills towards a promising future. To know more about our esteemed resource person, I call upon Mrs. Benedict Jairani, teacher, APJM Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Susaipuram, to introduce Reverend Father Maria Charles, SDB, to the virtual gathering.
A pleasant and warm evening. Greetings to everyone. I am truly excited to introduce to you all our resource person of today's session, Reverend Father Maria Charles, SDB. He works as Secretary for the Office for Education and Culture, Catholic Bishops' Conference of India, New Delhi. Formerly, he was Director of Don Bosco Youth Animation South Asia and Executive Secretary of All India Don Bosco Education Society for 12 years. He is credited with a twin master's degree in social work and mass media and journalism. Reverend Father Maria Charles, STB, holds a doctorate degree in development communication from Salesian University, Rome, Italy. He has also taught communication in Tokyo, Japan. In addition to his impressive qualification, Reverend Father Maria Charles, STB, has not only presented papers in national seminars all over the country, but has also attended and presented papers in international seminars in countries like the United States of America, Philippines, Italy, Spain, Singapore, and Sri Lanka. He has published over 85 books, wherein 5 books are in Tamil. He has also edited over 11 books on youth, education and rights related issues in English. He had been editor of 2 magazines and founder publisher of Arumbu Publications for 11 years. He has organized many national and international conferences, symposiums, and consultations. Presently residing in New Delhi, he has been organizing a lot of webinars and consultations for the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India. On the whole, he can be best described as an innovative maker and a Promethean for the upcoming generation. Reverend Father, we are really fortunate to have you as our resource person today. We are eager to hear your words, fill our minds with your mesmerizing knowledge. Father, please take charge and rest our excited mind with your golden words.
Can I speak now?
Yes, sir. Yes, Father.
Yes. So, Most Reverend Grace George Rajendran and the Vicar General, Reverend Father Thomas Pauta Parambal, Dr. Isaias, and other persons of Thakalai Diocesan Education Commission. And I'm very glad that you're organizing Teachers Development Program on Educational Foundations and Trends. I'm glad to be part of it. And thank you for the invite. I don't know if Bishop Rajendran had anything to do with it, but thank you, Dr. Isaias, for inviting me. And just yesterday we had concluded, we had a discussion or a national consultation on the education policy, and a lot of people attended, and Your Grace, Most Reverend George Rajendran also was there. Your Bishop was there the full time. And thank you, Your Grace, for being there, supporting us. And also, well, let me get into the topic. Is it okay that I share the screen?
Yes, Father. You
Yes,
can.
Father.
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father.
Yes, the topic that was given to me was evolving education trends in India, a way forward. I just gathered a few material because these days the educational trends are changing quite rapidly. And it is good that we teachers and educators take stock of what's going on. Right. It's a common knowledge about what's happening here in India today with regard to the education sector. In January 2019, India had over 900 universities and 40,000 colleges. With more than 1.5 million schools and about 260 million students in 2015-16, India has the world's largest second largest school system after China. India also had 37.4 million students enrolled in higher education in the financial year 19. Gross enrollment ratio in higher education reached 26.3% in the year 19. The country has become the second largest market for e-learning after the US. The sector is expected to reach $1.96 billion by 21, with around 9.5 million users. India is forging ahead, and this is a COVID time, and the whole world has actually changed in the past few months. Most governments around the world have temporarily closed educational institutions in an attempt to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. Some 1.3 to 1.5 billion students and youth across the planet are affected by school and university closure. These nationwide closures are impacting over 72% of the world's student population. Several other countries have implemented localized closures, impacting millions of additional learners. Governments around the world are making efforts to mitigate the immediate impact of school closures, particularly for more vulnerable and disadvantaged communities, and to facilitate the continuity of education for all through remote learning. It is in this context, dear friends, we need to understand that many of you have been teachers for many years, and that in India, India has been always characterized an economy where undergraduates are focused on becoming doctors, lawyers, accountants, or engineers. This is what we also have been teaching children, and as parents also we have been expecting our daughters and boys to become Now, there has been a subtle shift away from these courses and careers due to a broadening of the spectrum when it comes to programs offered. Today, there are lakhs of students looking to pursue more skill and vocational oriented courses like filmmaking, design, fashion, advertising, and PR communications as well. And there is so much of demand for young people in retail, hospitality, catering, and food management industries. Previously, these are all courses that students would have to apply outside of India, but now more of these courses are emerging within the country to take advantage of the demand. Now, the challenges during COVID, you're very well aware about it. I don't have to just revising with you. Interrupted learning, poor nutrition, confusion and stress for teachers, parents unprepared for distance and homeschooling, challenges creating, maintaining and improving distance learning, gaps in childcare, high economic costs, unintended strain on healthcare systems, increased pressure on schools and school systems that remain open, rise in dropout rates, increased exposure to violence and exploitation, social isolation, challenges measuring and validating learning. Well, these have been topics even for research these months. A lot of people have taken up different causes in order to help young people to cope with these. And the post-COVID trends are also really worrisome. For example, fewer kids will go back to school when schools reopen. This is one of the fears that many educators and schools have. An overwhelming number of parents are asking the inevitable question, why should my little child go outside first? Especially since the virus is still to be brought under leash. So even if we have to open the schools, how many parents would be willing to send their children immediately? Social distancing, little or no sports, that is already discouraging young people. 2 shifts or 3 shift schools, the need for social distancing will mean lesser students in each class. So the need for most educational institutions to perhaps work 2 shifts, maybe even 3 or every day. Will that be possible for the schools to handle? Teaching versus learning will need figuring again. The notion of a teacher and an educator as a knowledge holder who imparts wisdom to peoples is no longer fit for the purpose of the future. What kind of teachers are we expecting? With students being able to gain access to knowledge and even learn many a technical skill through a few clicks on their phones, tablets, or computers, we will need to redefine the role of the teacher in the classroom of tomorrow. We have a few more trends. Teaching will go. Teaching will go tech, but technology in education alone will not be the enabler. While we talk about how new technologies can help transform education, in India, it will first have to be about how such tools can help education systems function at a basic level. Well, we have a problem at this because the inaccessibility of technology and the lack of knowledge in making use of this technology and transferring knowledge, especially about the subjects through these technologies, have been very difficult. A greater value will be placed on the content and how that content is used rather than on any one particular device. Viewed from this perspective, the future of education is in the content and not the container. It's more than just content, of course. It's also about the connections and the communities, students collaborating with each other, teachers supporting other teachers. The technologies can help enable, catalyze, and support as well in the future. We will see about this a little later during this discourse, but I would like you to understand, while the technology is very important, but technology alone will not be the enabler. We need to be certain about that. Now, augmented reality will make visualization, annotation, and storytelling better. Now, augmented reality is not very common these days in India, but we need to understand that in the United States, already from 4%, it has increased to 27.5% of students using AR. It's a very powerful visualization tool. It allows one to bring an object or concept into a reality that is otherwise imagined, inaccessible, or difficult to grasp, and can even help to make the invisible visible. I'll talk to you about augmented reality a little later during this talk, but I would like you to make a note about this. This is one of the things that is going to happen in the future, especially in the education field. Examination and grading will undergo a change. Artificial intelligence will help teachers deal with assessment, evaluating, paper setting, marking mark sheets, and tracking the performance of each student with less studium. With these tasks made simple, they will be able to also concentrate more on course improvement, teaching quality, and aptitude development. Artificial intelligence frameworks will also move examination and scoring systems. We will see about this also a little later, but these are things to remain, or these are things to happen in India soon. Now, as you know, traditionally we have 4 boards of schools in education in India: CBSE, ICSE, State Board, and the IB. And how much India spends on education? India ranks 62nd in total public expenditure on education per student. And by measures of quality of education, okay, the country spent 3% of its total GDP on education in 2018 to 19. That is about 5.6 lakh crore. That was in the year 2019. This survey was done. But the new economic policy has promised 6% of GDP. So we have to wait and watch. Now, distance learning is another aspect that is also catching up everywhere. India also is seeing this move, though it's a bit slow. The e-learning education moving online to reach more and more aspiring students, especially with the closure of higher education. A lot of universities are moving towards distance learning. And in the Western countries, the distance learning has gone very high. The people applying for distance learning have gone, the number has gone very high. Soon it will also be the case here in India for the lack of opportunity to go and attend the classes in the regular colleges. There is also a skill-based learning. I'm telling you, these are general trends that are happening, okay? General trends are happening. On the one hand, you have virtual learning. On the other hand, you have distance learning, and you also have skill-based learning. And the skill-based learning, there is a shift today, and the new education policy, the National Education Policy 2020 is also going to emphasize that is from the 6th standard itself, people have to start taking skill-based learning. So this is also going to happen here in India very soon. And these are certain general trends that we need to be aware of. Now, if you ask me 3 fast emerging new trends that are happening during the COVID and in these years, in these months, One is virtual learning. You will agree with me because many of you are already teaching online classes, and probably a few of you even attending courses on online. And many of us are used to now conducting national level programs or international level programs online. Now, this virtual learning, where the teacher as well as the students, for both, it was a new concept. And in India, the teachers have succeeded in most schools in teaching the children through online. Now, this is a definite trend that is emerging, and that is moving towards this virtual learning. Now, what will happen is more and more programs and institutions are placing a strong emphasis on this. And because of this, what will happen is we will have to see in the next few months how we can impart education in these virtual environments. So this is one huge challenge that is coming across, that has been forced upon us, but we have this challenge upon us. And the second fast emerging new trend, I don't know, probably some of you have been noticing or taking note of it, is what we call the mobile applications, the apps that are coming up. The books, the applications are being developed to take the standard textbook learning online and make it more vivid with pictures and videos to capture students' imagination and make even the most mundane of topics come to life. More and more of the secondary boards of education in India are turning to applications on tablets to aid learning. Many schools in the larger cities are mandating students that they bring a connected device with them to school, even before the COVID started happening. This is changing the dynamics of how a subject is taught, as well as the kind of content that can be thought of for this education. Now, many companies are developing mobile apps for learning. And how are we going to cope with this? This is another one fast emerging trend in India today. And the third fast emerging trend is gamification. Probably those of us who are in the cities will be aware of this very much, but those who are in the rural areas, probably in the remote areas, maybe are yet to come in terms with this gamification. Now, gamification is arising in learning environments as well. Now, as you know, we used to have playway school, and the children are taught learning at the very early age through a lot of games. Now, these are coming in the virtual reality. That is what it's about. Okay. So this gamification, where they can learn, they can play games and learn side by side, as simple as this. So whatever you have been doing, especially the kindergarten teachers and the primary teachers, whatever you have been doing in your own classrooms, probably now you will have to learn to do it on a computer or through in a virtual setting. So this gamification, which is now a huge business in the world, a huge business in the education among the education companies. Now, this will lead the children to learn to write a blog, make a video, or demonstrate a theory. Probably some of your own children in the schools are doing this already. You know, that makes learning very fun and as well as very interesting for the young people. So probably you are aware of these fast three trends that are emerging in India today, and be aware of it. And if you have been already using it, okay, I understand. But for those who have not been using it, probably you need to start learning this. Now, there are also new trends developed by the National Education Policy 2020. Some of them are positive and some of them could be a real challenge. But I would just like to present the key words alone about the new trends that are being developed by new education policy. One of them, for example, is education structure itself is changing. I'm not going to explain this in detail because that will take a session by itself, because the national education policy is a topic that needs a lot of discussion. And I'm sure your diocesan commission also will take up this discussion. Okay, but just here are a few keywords. The choice given to the students in selecting the subjects, emphasis given on mother tongue and triple language, more choice of language is provided, focus on skills, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity, aiming of 100% gross enrollment ratio by 2030, okay, in line with SDGs, you know that, by the UN. Okay, setting up National Assessment Center, PARAC, performance assessment, review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development, and special education zones for disadvantaged regions and groups. And added to that, there are also reforms in curriculum and assessment, multidisciplinary learning, early child care education, emphasis on teachers' competencies, 6% of GDP on education, though it has remained a distant dream in previous education policies, providing a universal access to school education at all levels. The NEP promises up to age 18, and vocational courses, adult literacy and life enrichment programs, targeting to bring back 2 crores out of school children into mainstream education, development of digital infrastructure, digital content and capacity building of institutes in technology to look after the e-education needs, entry exit in the system and credits are counted, and you know that there is a multi-exit program available both in school and at the higher education level, introduction of vocational skill building, and plan to provide breakfast along with midday meal for government school children. Well, along with this, there are also concerns that the NEP 2020 poses, and few of them are the need to decentralize education system. English as a medium of teaching will go out of schools. For those of you who have been reading the new national education policy will understand what I'm saying. But those of you who haven't read it, just have a glance at these. Probably you can read up later. Probably you can read up later and catch up with what's going on. But I have just putting about 3 slides on this in order for us to understand that this is going to develop new trends in the country today. Okay. Now, there are a lot of concerns, especially by the church, okay, because the NEP is a drive towards privatization, challenges in the implementation of the policy in rural areas, lack of availability of facilities to all students in various remote areas, excessive stresses to children at early age, vocational education after 6th grade is too early, the subtle features like an entrance exam for arts, science courses, and filtering system will block the upward movement of the subaltern groups. The repeated emphasis on engagement with Indian civilization history creates an uncertainty of biases in the new curriculum. Now, interdisciplinary courses require trained multidisciplinary faculties. Multiple agencies are involved, which could confuse the functioning of the system. The implementation part of the policy will be the most difficult one. The overall focus is on technology. It will leave a large number of students left behind as they do not have access to resources in both rural and urban areas. The cost of education in general would be a rise. Thus, education can become unaffordable to the rural poor. Introduction of Sanskrit as a compulsory language in many states may not be a necessity, but you know, it is a very debatable issue. Introduction of multidisciplinary courses requires infrastructures and finances. Exams for classes 3, 5, 8 will give mental pressure. Now, these are issues that are of concern to people. Okay, just one more slide. On the pretext of merit negating higher education to the downtrodden by conducting entrance exam even for arts and science subjects, like as they do for the NEET, paving the way for foreign universities. There's going to be a huge marketing or what do you call privatization of education in India. Okay, so we don't know where it's going to lead, especially the higher education. They are going to probably, those of you who had listened yesterday would understand the number of difficulties that this policy is posing. Just like as I said, I'm just presenting to you. This is not the what do you call the theme of my talk, but then since this is already paving way for new trends, I thought it is a must that I must share this with you. Okay, now some of these things, for example, the limited autonomy, the role of the state government, what would it be? Okay, and the NEP is not allowing religious instruction in schools. It's another danger. The policy does not talk about common school system, replacing 10 plus 2 into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, an examination for this on students at a very early grades 3, 5, 8. All these are all confusing. Okay. There is also acknowledgement on the contribution of private schools, which include many unaided Catholic institutions. Rights of minority, NEP, are much focused on the role of centralized agencies than the state-specific focus. The policy is silent on issues relevant to caste, gender, peace, human rights, not much applicable to the village situation. It has not addressed the ratio of teachers to students. Many schools still do not have proper teachers, especially the government schools. It has not addressed the quality of teachers. So where are we? Where is the country moving towards when we embrace a new education policy like this? Though it is later to be very, very progressive and very inclusive, but those of us who read the policy in detail know that this is not true. Emphasis on women education and free education to the poor are also missing. Well, it is in this context, dear friends, dear teachers, we have to understand that some major education trends that will influence the schools in the coming years. Okay. One is that of online education. As we have discussed, COVID has taught us that with the widespread acceptance and influence of mobile gadgets, providing online education is a concept which can be delivered a lot easier than ever before. Many teachers and many people have learned how to teach through these mobile gadgets as well as through their phones or through their computer. Even working professionals or students with problems of transportation can access education without confinement. So this online education is one new trend that has come upon us, and it is going to stay there for quite some time. The new education policy also says that the online education will continue. This proposes a platform, sorry, a comprehensive report prepared by KPMG in India. You know what is KPMG, isn't it? It is one of the four largest companies in the world for accounting. And it is already based in about 147 or 150 countries with over 200,000 plus employees. So they and Google, they point out that the online education market in India is slated to witness an eightfold growth by 2021. Okay, these are not ordinary people who are saying this. These are people with a lot of what we call respect. The whole world respects KPMG, and they when they say something like this, when they release a statistics, it's taken very, very seriously. So imagine if you are going to have an eightfold growth in online marketing, education marketing. So where does that lead? What will happen to our schools and what will happen to our students? Okay, this is a question that we need to address. There is already a rise in the number of e-learning companies offering classroom supplement solutions and solutions for competitive examinations. And the coming years will witness a further rise. Internet penetration in rural India is increasing as we move forward. Mobile app-based services like WhatsApp, YouTube are becoming popular. There is scarcity of quality teachers in rural India. But what will happen is, in the years to come, probably even within a year or two, most of the students may probably even have access to an ordinary mobile through which they can learn, through which they can be educated. So this is a phenomenal change that we are witnessing, and we don't know where it leads to. Anytime, anywhere learning. This trend allows students to learn anytime from anywhere, ensuring learning is no longer limited to the four walls of a classroom. Students can learn from the comforts of their home or while strolling in the park. So this is a new phenomenon that we are experiencing, and and a lot of students, for example, you can see them going on around with the mobile phone even while they are attending the classes. So This allows learners to explore their interests more. For instance, in the conventional scenario, a learner can approach the teacher only during school hours to clarify any doubts. However, many online learning platforms now have doubt clarification sessions that allow students to clarify their doubts instantly. So teachers, be aware that there is a anytime, anywhere learning. How are we going to cope with this new trend? Artificial intelligence learning is another very important thing. The role of the teacher in school is slowly changing. Instead of feeding information to students and lecturing from the front of the room, teachers are playing a facilitating role instead, guiding students towards thinking for themselves and carrying out projects and activities for students to work on in groups. So this artificial learning, again, we will see about this. Well, what is this artificial learning? Intelligence, especially artificial intelligence. According to online education for higher education, the artificial intelligence used in US classrooms will grow by 47.5% in the next 3 years. You know what it means? It means the whole role of the teacher is changing. You cannot come in front of the classroom and give a 45 minutes lecture and go away. No, the role of the teacher would be quite changing. And instead, the artificial intelligence will take the place of the teacher to a large extent. And what will it do? Well, it can automate basic activities in education like grading. For example, you don't need the teacher to hereafter correct the hundreds and hundreds of the answer sheets. Okay, if it is probably done in a Google form or if it is done in a proper format, the artificial intelligence will take care of grading them. Educational software can be adapted to student needs. It can point out places where courses need to improve. AI once installed in your system in the school, it can take care of a lot of activities. Students could get additional support from AI tutors. AI-driven programs can give students and educators helpful feedback. You know, these are all possibilities. Probably many of us are not aware of this artificial intelligence playing a role in education, but probably you need to understand more and more. For example, how the Google, for example, when you give the location, how the Google finds for you all the nearby restaurants or nearby shops or whatever you want to find, the Google helps you, isn't it? Location, artificial intelligence. And when you buy in Amazon certain products, next time you go into Amazon, Amazon will suggest to you from your previous purchases what is your interest, and they will suggest to you what things you could buy. Now, the Google will tell you what are the places of interest for you through the phone calls that you make, through the Google searches that you make, okay, and through the tickets that you book. Today there is an artificial intelligence that is working around us, which gives us a lot of helpful tips. I don't know how helpful sometimes, but they give you a lot of helpful tips. Now, this is what is going to happen also in education. Artificial intelligence can make trial and error learning less intimidating. See, when a boy or a student is learning from the teacher repeats once or twice, and the boy hasn't learned yet. He feels very, it feels awkward for him to go again and ask the teacher again and again, can you tell me again, for the fear that the teacher may be upset with him or her. But there is an artificial intelligence program that can help the student to learn 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, 100 times without getting irritated. Yeah, have you played online chess? Yes, it's similar. When you play online chess and you take a level of playing, and then, it used to be my hobby while I was doing my PhD too, because whenever I needed a break, I used to play online chess. My God, online chess, they have 100,000 moves. It has all been planned. It's there. But they take you to your own level. If you are in the level 1, the online chess game plays at your level. If you are at level 2, the game plays at your level. Similarly, AI can also help the students at their own level. So AI may change where students learn, who teaches them, and how they acquire basic skills. Peer learning. Peer learning is another concept that is emerging today very much. What we used to have, you remember when we were in the school, when the teacher found that some of the students were weak, what they would do, they would go make a group study, isn't it? Form a group of 4, 5, or 8% and put some weaklings, some intelligent boys together. So what will happen is, we think that peer learning in the group study, the weaker boys would learn things very fast. Today, a similar thing is happening also on the online. Online learning platforms have a dedicated learning community where students can help each other to learn. Have you witnessed this, or have you seen this peer learning, especially happening at the online? They can collaborate on projects, clarify each other's doubts, and discuss projects. Now, this is only for the students or for the teachers to enter into this type of a community, learning communities. And my God, I tell you, there are hundreds and hundreds of groups that are existing. I mean, thousands are existing, but very, according to your interests, I'm talking about, according to your interests. You want to learn something in physics or in chemistry or in geography, there are always peer learning groups that are available in order to help you to clarify your doubt. All that you need to ask is the doubts that you have. You need to ask them, and then the peers from Australia or from States or from any other country or even from India, they will help you online instantly. So this helps them to gain a fresh perspective on topics and learning concepts anew. Have you tried this peer learning? The next one is hybrid homeschooling. This is another trend that is also emerging. Now, you know that there have been always parents who chose to teach their children in their own homes, isn't it? Not sending them to the school. But now what is happening is, during this COVID, a lot of parents had learned that, why can't I teach my child at home? Why can't I teach? You know, so while they were probably sitting through your online classes and the way the child was learning, the parents too must have got a few ideas, you know. Now what's happening is, many of the parents are also interested in homeschooling. Now this is also an increasing factor in India. Abroad, this is catching very fast. This is known as hybrid homeschooling, and it is predicted to become more popular in years to come. It allows for more flexibility, particularly for parents who want to homeschool their children, but are unable in one way or another to do so. So probably they can choose their time, they can have their own program at leisure, and they can teach the children. Today, virtually they can get anything, any information from the computer, so, or from the internet, I mean. So it is not impossible for parents to get into this. Enter hybrid homeschooling, a model where children split their time between homeschool and more traditional schooling environment. Now, this is also happening in many places. The teachers feel, or the parents feel that the child could attend a certain number of days. Let's say, for example, this could be 3 days at home and 2 days at school, or 2 days at home and 3 days at school. Now, this has been accepted in many countries now, part of a hybrid homeschooling, where the child could be part-time in the school and part-time at home. Well, it hasn't come to India, but who knows? After the COVID, a lot of things can change, you know, a lot of things can change. And hybrid homeschooling is also one concept, probably, that is also emerging. It is for us to aware. And the next one is bite-sized learning. Okay, this is another concept that is emerging in everywhere, all over. What is bite-sized learning? Now, the education sector has started understanding the unique learning needs of each and every student. Well, this has been possible due to emerging digital technologies. Now, teachers are now able to incorporate bite-sized or nano learning to reduce the intensity and increase the effectiveness of learning. Now, this trend is growing at a fast pace. Now, what is this bite-sized learning? It is learning model divided into small interactive sections. Now, if you take NCRT books or if you take the CBSE lesson, one lesson would go into 15, 20, 25 pages, talking about so many concepts. By the time you complete one chapter, the child would feel quite tired and probably not even able to remember the first part of the chapter. But here, what happens in bite-sized learning, they divide them into smaller parts and small interactive sections. And this interactive sections enables the student to pay 100% attention during every learning session. Well, this is also, you need to watch out, bite-sized learning. Another concept that is there is augmented reality. As I was telling you earlier, this is another fast-paced, this is also catching up. Now, augmented reality is a technology that overlays interactive digital elements such as text, images, video clips, sounds, 3D models, and animations into real-world environments. Not only does AR enhance learning, but it also provides students with opportunities to create their own content. Now, this is very interesting because this is another backdoor entry into our teaching line. And a lot of students are catching up with us. I'll tell you how it is. Now, you know that this has been used in entertainment, military training, engineering, design, robotics, manufacturing, and other industries. Okay, and some of the examples. For example, I don't know if you know these examples, but I'm just telling you. For example, 3D Bear. Users can build and share scenes using 3D models with these apps, object library, or content imported from ThinkWorks. Teachers create and assign lessons through a web-based dashboard, and students use the app to create scenes. Ready-made lessons plans cover a range of topics. Very interesting. Once the teachers learn how to do this, and if they are able to teach the children together with this, the children learn very, very fast. Very fast. Now, for example, catchy words. Elementary school teachers will enjoy this free word game that combines learning with movement. Without touching the screen, students walk around catching letters with their devices to solve word puzzles. CoSpaces Edu, Frogipedia to teach biology students, Jigspace, this education offers library of knowledge. And each jig is a 3D presentation of how everyday things work, explained in simple steps and viewed visually in augmented or virtual reality. Now, teachers, if you are not been aware of some of these trends that are happening in the country, it is for us to catch up. It's not like even a few months ago we were very wary of online classes, virtual classes. We wouldn't even think about it, but today it has become a reality. And tomorrow, all these what I have been mentioning till now will become a reality very soon. So it is for you to catch up with these things, and it's not very difficult because all these are apps available on your own mobile. Some of them you may have to pay, but there are also a lot of free apps through which you can learn. In America, the medical students who have not been able to go to the college because of the COVID, they said they could sit at home and look at the human anatomy through this AR and go nerve by nerve and every muscle and every part of a cadaver. Even if they had a cadaver in front of them in the medical school, they would not have learned that much because this AR brings into reality just like the how do you say in reality. Okay, so they can understand step by step and every depth of it. AR is certainly going to make a huge impact in the education in the coming years. Watch out and you catch up with this. Catch up with this. And of course, the other one is the virtual reality. Probably you can ask your own children. They would be happy to tell you a lot of things about the Google Lens and VR lenses, So many of them, if you probably go to some of the malls in your own places, where the children play and all that, no, there is a place in the upper floor, okay, and you will find some of these virtual reality already happening there. And you wear this lens, probably you are taken to a different world. And this is also coming to be used in schools as industry is seeing major growth with heavy investment. And what will happen is, with VR, students can experience what they read beyond word descriptions and book illustrations. Now, how many of them would really understand looking at a book Earlier they would have just a small image, and now probably you're showing some of these images through video or through photographs when you take classes, online classes. But this VR is a different thing happening. It is like a Google expedition, allowing students to visit cultural sites around the world without ever leaving the classroom, or even go back in time to a historical setting such as the land of the dinosaurs. So virtual reality is a huge, how do I say, educational tool that is going to make an impact among the students. And the students who like to learn everything, at a very fast pace. And believe me, teachers, whatever we are going to teach in the classroom, whatever you're going to tell them, it is not going to be satisfying for the children of the coming years. They will like to learn many things fast, and they will like to learn things in a way that we will not be able to teach in the classroom. So that is why we need to make use of these tools too in order to reach out to the students. One of the reasons technological interventions in the K-12 sector is successful is because of its great potential to make educational content engaging and interesting. Now, thanks to 2D and 3D technology, all these things are happening. Okay, now enough of this. But you may be asking me how this is possible in our setting. That's a different question. Okay, but sometime, even a few months ago, the virtual classes or online classes were not possible in most of our schools. Our classes are in our own setting, but this is happening. Now with the mobile technology as well as many of these things coming into hands, believe me, it will be just about a year or two before all these things catch up very fast. So it is better to be prepared, better to be prepared. Now let me move a little fast about the cost management in education. That is a huge problem that we have. Now with the cost correct strategy, education industry will be saying. Now, dear, what we need to do is we need to understand where we have to invest in the coming years. And many of the educationers today, if you were to ask, they will say, invest more in cloud technologies to reduce operational cost. And I'm sorry if you do not understand what is a cloud technology. I'm sure you can ask your computer people in your school. They'll be able to tell you that this is a virtual storage where you can store any number of what you call materials, and any amount of material and any amount of knowledge that which you gather, and it can contain even bigger than the world's biggest libraries. So cloud technology is there already, and make use of it in order to uh, store this. So you can save your money. You don't have to have infrastructural storage. You can store it in your clouds. That is what I'm talking about. I mean computer clouding, okay? And one other things is, for example, all the important documents, certificate, diplomas, and other things will take a digital form. And this is where artificial intelligence and AR and coding will play a huge part. Okay, they will reduce the labor cost as well, which is generally required to store, manage. And these things need a little more explanation, but I'm sure if you call someone, a technocrat to your school or to your diocese, probably they will be able to tell you how you can manage your cost in education, especially through the new technology that are available. Okay, technology. More and more classes are now connected. Okay, so the demand for improved computing resources is natural. So you need today, the cost will enhance the operations. Sending information processing, transaction, and various other functions will become digital and simpler. Believe me, though it appears to be very expensive in the beginning, but once you start using it, probably you know that you are going to save a lot of money and time and resources in the future. Now, the changing role of a teacher is the concept that we are coming to. See, probably till now, whatever you have heard about the technology that is going to, let me tell you, teachers, once again, the technology can never replace a teacher. Okay, the teacher is what do you call the embodiment of the education, if you ask me. Okay, but the role of the teacher is changing. The teacher has become someone who nurtures the learners adequately. It is not like you have a knowledge, you have studied your MSc physics or a chemistry or English, and that you come and deposit your knowledge on the students. No, that is not anymore so. What you need to do is you need to nurture the learners, which means, you need to understand both the technology and the vast knowledge that is deposited in the technology, and how we are going to use it in order for the young people of this generation to learn quick. And what you need today is not to, what do you call, make everything study by heart and come. No, that's not anymore the role of the teacher. The role of the teacher, you need to understand that you need to learn how to bring about. So one of the things what you need to do is to cultivate empathy. Okay. So one of the main problems which is on lack of understanding and empathy. You come and talk to a camera or to a phone, and then you don't meet the child face to face. But then what happens is, even through this virtual reality, you can have compassion for others. You can communicate well. You can still have that empathy and good relationships. Okay, all these things make a positive teacher. It's very important for a teacher in order to have empathy. Empathy is one of the best qualities that the teacher can have in order to educate a child. And in this context, okay, reading through digital libraries, these are some of the things, okay, very important. But today the schools can subscribe to Kindle and ebooks and make available these books. Even when people are in COVID, they can be at home. They can still make use of your digital library and read. A lot of books can be read. So today we need to learn how to engage the students. And blockchain technology is another one that is very important, becoming also some for digital ledger of transactions, okay, that is duplicated. For example, higher education today is using blockchain technology very much in order to keep a record of all the what do you call, diplomas, certificates, things like that. And it is also shared. It is also shared on thousands of servers. Okay, so no one person has monopoly over a knowledge or a technology. Okay, blockchain technology is a very important one that is also becoming used in the higher education, but I don't have much time to deal with that right away. Okay, top trends for a stronger education system. Now, this well, we need to understand from the things that we have learned from the technology, as well as to what can be challenging to the teachers. Now, 5 top trends that are very, very important for our education system. And the first one would be shift to focus towards concept-based learning. Okay, if you teachers, if you were to ask me that how do we embrace the new trends that are coming out, I would tell you, okay, shift towards digital transformation is encouraging concept-based learning. So you need to be very sure about the concepts that you are teaching and build core skills and future ready for them. So what will happen is now from the teacher focus, you need to move towards the student focus. And the second thing that you need to learn is the emerging trend of blended learning, which is also catching up very fast. Okay, the learning trend is changing, transferring from computers to mobile phones. According to McKinsey, India is one of the fastest growing and largest market with 560 million internet subscribers in 2018. It is reported that Indians have 1.2 billion mobile phones on subscription and downloaded around 12.3 billion apps in 2018. So what are we talking about? The whole India is moving towards a huge internet subscribing. So how are we going to engage the children through this? So the blended learning is opting for platforms such as Google, mobile apps, YouTube, gather information. Learners are enrolling into short online, offline courses, enhance their skills and learn how to grow in their profession. So you need to bring all these things, connect them. So today, what you need is not what do you call, a single idea about how to educate, but you need to have a blended idea. Connection is the most important and key word. And the next one is do it yourself learning. Yeah, 78% of the Indian learners believe that using technology to support their learning makes it easier and more fun. This is very important again. And this is very important again. And you today, this mindset is emerging more and more. So you will have to teach the children at home to do things on their own and show it to you. Okay, show it to the next to this one. So this do-it-yourself mindset will enable what we are talking about in the new education policy as a skill building or a skill-based learning. So this is what will happen. So look at the picture here, all made by the children. Today, the children learn to make a lot of things and to convey an idea. They can tell a story through this. They can convey how they learned a proper subject. And the next one is personalized learning. The diverse variety of educational programs today are distinct learning and requirement. So massive open online courses are providing an affordable and flexible way to acquire new skills. So if you ask me, so the concept learning, okay, concept-based learning, and also the personalized learning, and these are very, very, very important. And the next one probably is, as I told you earlier, artificial intelligence and gamification. Okay. Now, these are some of the top trends that are happening in the country. Okay, top trends that are happening with the number of smartphones and the internet increasing more and more. These things are also increasing. Okay. So what does it do? It engages young people more and more. Okay. Now, for example, the students can learn to analyze their performance through various data analytics algorithms with an insight and reduces the chances of bias. Learning through games not only aids students in leveling up their knowledge, but makes the whole process of learning fun and efficient. Don't you think that the children will fall for this? So this is what is going to happen in the future. Now, as you know, that there are a lot of e-learning platforms available by the government itself. I would like you only to take the keywords like this one, but then you can learn, you can go through Google and find out. I'm not going to explain each of them, but this Diksha is a platform that offers teachers and students a lot of learning materials. And then e-Pathshala is another website that has been designed by NCRT, and with numerous resources for students to learn and have access to audios, videos, EPUBs, flipbooks, etc. The Shagun e-platform by the Department of School Education and Literacy as part of the Ministry of Human Resources Development. And with the introduction of Samgraga Shiksha, the platform provides single point access to all portals and websites of the department. A lot of materials. I have gone through each of them, and they are very well prepared. All this by the government of India. Okay. Browsing through this platform, one can also learn about the schemes and their comprehensive monitoring, go through how the outcomes are measured. Outcomes are measured with the help of an objective evaluation. So things like that. There is also a NDL, okay, National Digital Library, which you can have access to. Go and register yourself, and then you can see the data repository, documents, videos, journals, conferences, plenty of them. And there is also FOSI, free and open source software for education, which promotes FLOSS tools in academic research. Here you can have access to open sources, programs like Shilla, Python. You know, Python is very much needed today in order to learn about coding and as well as things. So here, all these are available today. All these are available today in open sources. So you don't even have to pay for them. You don't even have to pay for them. Now, the use of technology in teaching will be inevitable. And soon this will lead to a new era where the best of faculty who are well versed both in their subjects as well as in the use of technology will be available from across the globe to the students. Are you a capable teacher? If you are a capable teacher, learn to use this technology. You must be able to use also a lot of these resources that are available. Go for online courses, familiarize yourself with these things. So you become more and more relevant to the students of the future. That's what I'm telling you. Now, to conclude, some of the important concerns that we are there is focus away rote learning. Okay, don't go back to the old system of telling the children to memorize. 21st century skills are so different. Not everything is bad about rote learning, I know, because you need to learn the basics, I know, but it should not end in itself. Learning should focus on preparing students for their professional life. So e-activities, experiential learning, so acquiring skills and knowledge, but also on the process of learning, which will become student-centric. So please learn. The second one that concerns is importance of coding. Coding will be a very huge factor in the coming years. And today, many students are learning already to code, doing the coding. And coding is so important in order to, even at the level of kindergarten today, in many countries, coding has been introduced, okay? Although the children are not traditional programming languages, because coding and programming are similar, but coding is that which even every student even can pick up. And what will happen is, what can they do with this? They can, it can help them in their creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, etc. Okay. So barriers of digital education. Yes, many of us have this. Some of you will say, So first time I have learned to use the computer. I'm not very comfortable with this using of computer. Please change yourself. Teachers, there is no way you can tell this story again and again. You have to start learning the using of computer, internet, and many of the resources that I have mentioned, many of the apps that are mentioned. You need to start using them. Today, it is becoming a digital education. Even if regular classrooms begin again, the digital education will continue because the students have become very fond of it, and they have learned to many of them have learned to use it also. Okay, so and also the future market, the future what I call job industry, everything will be based on so much of the students' knowledge on these subjects, on how they can make use of it. So the schools also have to provide these things to the students, and that is why, for example, the service providers like Khan Academy providing exceptional knowledge for free and individual. So the many of them are taking interest in this and learning Max very well. So why not you jump into this? Hmm? Instead of standing away and saying, "My God, it's too difficult for me," what I would say is, get into this race. Then another one is, here is what we need. The Education Commission of the diocese will take a professional development of teachers. We need to do this. You have to coach the teachers. You have to develop them. You need to give them the skills. Otherwise, unless the teachers are trained, how will they teach the children? So what will you teach the teachers? You cannot go back selling the same things again and again for the past 20-25 years that you have done. No, today we need to give a professional development to the teachers. And whoever have done that have made a huge impact. And for example, I'll tell you one incident that it is not mentioned here, but it just came in yesterday's newspaper about Orissa. Some years ago, Orissa was not even in the skill mapping of India. Okay, when the government had announced 5 years ago about skilling India and making a lot of people learn skills, Odisha government was not even part of it. But today, it is one of the top 4 states in the country. You know what they did? They picked up about 215 or 225 teachers, all right, from the ITIs which were not functioning. But the ITIs, nobody was enrolling them. Nobody was going for such education, ITI education. But they picked up these teachers and they sent them to Singapore, huh, and then got them trained for 2 weeks only, just for 2 weeks. But when they came back, the teachers had a brought about a huge, tremendous change in the state. Today, it is one of the top 4 states in the country which is offering skill development to the students. So the teachers can bring about a change, provided. So take up the burden on the teachers, make the life of the teachers easier. Okay, give them the aids, give them the professional training, give them a little more access to the technology, and make their life a little easier by creating spaces for them. And when you do this, you will also see a lot of miracles happening, because the teachers will certainly perform, but not under stress, but under proper guidance and training. Well, it's the same thing, adaptability for professional education. You need to have a lot of training. That's what I would say. Okay. Now, digital and comprehensive online management, this is another thing. Okay. Now, there is also limitation to current assessment and evaluation of students, but in the online. But all these things will slowly will change, and people are developing already assessment systems. Okay. Now, models of quality education in the coming era would be, for example, global citizenship skills. Okay, now this is not just taken from anyone. This one, the World Economics Forum's white paper on shaping the future of the new economy and society to identify promising models of quality education for the fourth industrial revolution. Okay, they have come up with the 8 critical characteristics that would define the quality education in the coming years. One of them is global citizenship skills. Don't look at them as a small village boy or a small township boy, but think of him as a global citizen who can contribute in any part of the world. Innovation and creative skills. which need to be given to every student in our schools. They deserve it. And technology skills, interpersonal skills, personalized and self-paced learning, accessible and inclusive learning, problem-based and collaborative learning, lifelong and student-driven learning. Now, these are some of the 8 very, very basic models of quality of education that UN has proposed. I mean, the World Bank has proposed. Now, in the coming year, assessment year teachers will be based on, for example, practical implementation, ability of innovation, problem solving using knowledge, and conceptual application of the knowledge. Now, this is what is going to be the assessment system in the future. Not just some rote learning, but how the child is able to solve the problem using knowledge, how the conceptual application of the knowledge. This is what is going to change. So we need to gear up to this. But as well established now, India's learning outcomes remain stubbornly low. It is whatever I have told you, it is for the future, I know, but we need to talk about our quality concerns around education. Okay. Now, as Shamika Ravi writes, those with higher education are less likely to be employed than those without. So what means is, today the children need to be both knowledgeable as well as skill based. Otherwise, they are not going to be employable. The highest number of secondary school graduates in South Asia in 2030, it will be India. But nearly half of them will lack the skills to enter the job market. So we need to keep this in mind when we are talking about how we educate the children. What type of skills and what type of a knowledge are we going to give it to them? Is it enough that they come through our schooling and pass and go? No, it is not enough. So what have we to offer to them? That is the question. Optimizing the number of schools is complemented, but what is more needed is remediation to enable students to achieve grade level competency. Okay, leveraging technology, and we can use today WhatsApp or so many things that we have at our disposal in order to teach the child and in order also to administer well. Now, what are the outcomes we want schooling to generate? And are they adequate to produce the qualities for individuals to contribute meaningfully to society and economy? Yes. This is where we need to find out. We need to ask this question. What are the outcomes we want our schooling to generate? And are they adequate to produce the qualities for individuals to contribute meaningfully to society and to the economy? So this is one of the questions that we need to ask when we are doing the education. And we need to remember they are the outcome focus. I read this by Rohan Sindhu in Hindu on February 4th in the Hindu newspaper. He says, over the next decade, the key priority that education policy must seek to address is to make sure that schooling isn't just an end for students, but a ladder to opportunity. I think he says it correctly. This is what I am also trying to convey this. Probably the schooling is not an end, but a ladder. So how are we going to make the learning outcome for the students in the best interest of the students? To conclude, in this time of crisis, a well-rounded and effective educational practice is what is needed for the capacity building of young minds. And this is what our Catholic education has been all about, a well-rounded as well as holistic education. It will develop skills that will drive their employability, productivity, health, and well-being in the decades to come and ensure the overall progress of India. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for giving us a wonderful session. You have very rightly said that technology has aided us in making knowledge easily accessible and better. And truly, the benefits of it are visible in this pandemic situation. It is also true that technology is almost and at a very fast pace taking the place of teachers. And therefore, it is important for us teachers to accept the change and move ahead. Now we have queries from some of our teachers related to the session for clarification, Father.
Yeah, sure.
Since we are
Go ahead.
running out of time, we have taken only 3 important questions.
Okay, okay.
The first question is, how can assessment systems become more nuanced and reward children for innovative thinking while e-learning is following?
It's a very good question because the assessment system is emerging today, especially in the virtual learning period. And this is where, for example, a lot of what do you call technological aid is coming to you. We need to make use of it. Okay, so is it enough for the child to have certain knowledge about the subject, or is it important for the teacher to understand that if the child has really understood the concepts well? Okay, if for example the assessment should be based on such things. Okay, so the assessment can be based on, for example, either yes or no questions, or it can be based on a slide projects, or it can be based on a certain video or an audio production from the boy, so that he is able to able to reveal the understanding of the particular subject or the concept. So today the assessment itself is improving. Okay, and it is left to the ingenuity of the teachers also to develop different types of assessment system rather than to just keep only one type of an assessment system. Thank you.
Well said, Father. The second question is, technology is taking the lead in today's teaching and learning. Under such situation, what is the role of a teacher?
That's what I've been saying that again and again. The role of the teacher is fast changing, isn't it? Those of you who have been listening to this talk, what I'm saying is the role of the teacher today, if you ask me personally, is to nurture the students, to nurture. And we also have another word in psychology today, which is very important. I don't know if Father Palamadathil had mentioned accompaniment. You know, accompanying young people today is also a very, very important role that the teacher has to play. Which means today it is not like I have a knowledge and I'm going to deposit to you. But what we do today is the teacher is along with the student is helping the student to learn, telling the student this is how you need to learn. So every student is different. So today the virtual world gives us a huge opportunity for us. For example, certain children need a lot of visualization. Certain children need only just a conceptualization. Certain other children need a little bit of, telling them to de-stress and then be happy. Certain children do not learn anything under stress. So the teacher today is accompanying, like a parent accompanies the boy or your own children. Certain time your child gets angry, certain time your child is very moody, certain time your child is learning very fast. So similarly, the teacher today also needs to accompany virtually the student. It is a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge, but the teachers need to learn to nurture. That will be the role of the teachers in the future.
Thank you, Father. Very rightly answered. And the third question is, can the online mode of teaching or learning platform address the social and emotional needs of the students?
Big challenge, a huge challenge, huge challenge. But that is why you have to ask also the question, was your physical classroom that you have been having in the school, was it addressing the social and emotional needs of children? You did to an extent, isn't it? To an extent, it was possible. But to a large extent, with a big group of students in the classroom, we were not able to address each of the emotional need of every child. But today, online gives you a possibility. You know how? Because the schools can arrange online counselors. The schools can arrange also a time in which the teacher pays certain attention to the social needs of the children. So even to have a certain type of a virtual game, certain type of a virtual quiz program or a debate, or even sharing a fun moment and appreciating each other, an hour for congratulating or being happy hours. A lot of things are possible today. A lot of things are possible also on virtual level. So it is up to the teachers' innovative and creative attitude that one can address this, both emotional and social needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Father, for being so patiently clarifying the doubts of the participants. I'm sure we have benefited immensely from the session as well as from the apt answers given by you to the queries. To the attention of the participants, Please note that the feedback form has been sent to your registered email ID. Kindly take some time out to fill in the form and submit the same. Let me now invite Mrs. Dean Mole, teacher, APJM Matriculation High Secondary School, Susaiburam, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. Gratitude is a most exquisite form of courtesy. I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to who or have aided us in making this webinar organized by Takalai Diocese Education Commission a resounding success. We are refreshed by the session of Reverend Father Marie Charles S.D.B. on the theme Evolving Education Trends, a Way Forward. It's my foremost responsibility to thank Lord Almighty for His blessings and grace for making this webinar an amazing learning process. I extend my profound sense of gratitude to His Excellency Mar George Rajendran, Bishop of Syro Malabar Catholic Diocese, Takalai, for enabling the teachers to reach new heights in its difficult times. I extend my gracious gratitude to His Excellency. I am thankful to Reverend Father Thomas Pouth Parambil, Vicar General and Secretary of Educational Commission of Diocese of Takalai, for rendering us with all possible support towards the organization of this webinar. Heartfelt gratitude, Father. Words are powerless to express my gratitude to our valuable resource person, Reverend Father Maria Charles S.D.B., National Secretary, CBCI Office for Education and Culture, New Delhi. Thank you, Father, for making this webinar a significant and worthwhile experience. We are all inspired by your lively words, and your thoughts have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. I thank you most sincerely, Father. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Reverend Father Densi Varghese, correspondent of Sacred Heart Matriculation High Secondary School, Padandalmudu, who had commenced this webinar with his valuable spiritual invocation. A very big thank you, Father. I extend my gratefulness to all the provincials and congregations and also to the correspondents, principals, and teachers of all educational institutions under Diocese of Takalai. Without your cooperation and support, the success of this webinar would not have been possible. A big thanks to Alfonso Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Nagarkoil, Sacred Heart Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Padandalmudu, APJM Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Susaiburam, J. Mother Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kristarajapuram, Pulari Matriculation School, Pudur, Sengotai, St. Mary's Central School, Kaliyal, Christ CMI Central School, Anchagramam, Mount Carmel Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Murukot, Carmel Jodi Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kolachal, Carmel Mada Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kanyakumari, St. Michael's Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kataturai, St. Francis of Assisi Primary School, Melakot, Sacred Heart Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kalvandittai, Sacred Heart Nursery and Primary School, Pattakani, John Paul Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Kulasegaram, San Joe English Medium School, Aniyadi, Syro Malabar Catholic Tamil Schools, and St. Alfonso College of Arts and Science, Gadagal. I especially thank our technical partner, St. Anthony's College, Shillong, for being our backbone in conducting this webinar. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Reverend Father Joby Joseph, Rector of the college, Brother Albert Longley, Principal of the college, and Professor Nathaniel Majau for your unfaltering support. Finally, and importantly, I wholeheartedly convey my gratitude to our program partner, St. Alfonso College of Arts and Science, Karangal, for their enormous cooperation in organizing this webinar. I believe that this webinar has borne the desired fruit in our minds. Once again, I place on record my hearty thanks to one and all for the support and guidance. Thank you.
Thank you all, and hope you all have highly nourished from this session. David Warlick says that we need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hand, because it is the pen and paper of our time, and it is the lens through which we experience much of our world. With this note, we come to the end of the session. We will meet again in the next week on 28th August 2020. Thank you.
So thank you, Your Grace. Thank you very much.
Father, thank you very, very much. It is beautiful, really a beautiful program.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Prepared a lot, and presented so the present.
Father Thomas, thank you very much, Father Thomas.